I've been sitting here for the last 20 minutes or so, having a back and forth with myself out loud, discussing and trying to get answers about what do I want to do when I die? Where do I want to go? How do I handle myself? And I'm trying also like asking myself, did you come here by total, like full, you decided here, or were you tricked into it? Were you somehow tricked into coming here through certain voices that are the those NDEs, near death experiences. There's like millions of people that have had them. When you had a minute, maybe you went out of your body for a minute, you got in an accident, and you could eat. By the way, you could be physically dead, like medically dead for a minute, and then come back to life. Like that happens. It's not uncommon. So people have near death experiences, and they report, oh, like I spoke to voices, I saw my dead relatives, or the angels of whatever came to me and said, oh no, you have to go back into your life, don't worry, everything's okay, etc. So that's actually, so look, I spoke about this before, but if you're new to the channel, I think most of you guys are not new to the channel or to the idea. But we're like inside a matrix, just like the movie The Matrix. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. We're inside this matrix, and we are essentially the human soul. Watch the movie Monster Inc. also. Okay, the human soul is there to power the matrix, so that these beings known in Gnosticism as the archons uh, feed off of it, feed off of our misery and suffering and our pain. And they especially like children. That's why all this pedophilia that goes on with the Hollywood and all this bullshit is because children emit a very, very high energy of that. So they can extract it through these absolutely perverse rituals. But even, the human soul, especially the younger it is, they can extract all the pain and the misery out of it, and that powers their matrix, and that's how they're able to stay alive. Some say they don't have souls, others say they're lost souls. I think, me personally, they're lost souls, the archons. And so that they want the human spirit, they want the human soul, and they want to extract as much energy out of it to stay alive. For them, it's their food. Otherwise, they die, and the matrix shuts down. Anyway, so all these NDEs, near-death experiences, is just people are actually not speaking with their dead relatives for most of the time, or they're being spoken to by these angels. I mean, even Lucifer is the angel of light, right? They're masquerading as loving beings, and they're telling, no, you got to go back now, and they're giving you orders. I've actually had an experience like that. 2017, 2018, I took mushrooms, and I had that experience. I got out of my body, and I met these beings, and they told me the exact same bullshit. They told me, go back to your body, just go back to your body. And it's like they speak with authority. That's bullshit. So it hit me as I'm having this discussion with myself. It hit me. Yo, Saeed, look, nobody ever forced you to do anything. They always need your consent. And that is a very empowering thing to know. You know those cookies, right? The website cookies. They need your consent to be able to track you. So you have to agree to it. And they make it very difficult for you. But I do this out of habit now. Whenever I have this cookie shit pop up, you have to go and you have to press manage options, and they make it harder for you with like extra steps. And then I go and then I uncheck everything. I'm like, nope. Why do I do that? I do that as a habit for me, so that when the moment of death arrives and there's voices speaking to me, trying to persuade me to come back here or this, and trying to guilt trip me, I make it a habit. How you do one thing is I do everything. I make it a habit in this life. No, let me read what's going on. Let me read what's happening. I do not agree. I agree. I do not agree. Okay? Consent. None of us have been truly forced to come here. Most of us have been tricked. Tricked is what it is. Tricked, not forced. So not a single soul, in my perspective, not a single soul that is here has actually been forced, like downright forced to come here. It's more so tricked. And that is very, very empowering to know. Why is that empowering to know? Because you get the power, man. You get the power. You got the power. You can have a good day. Take care. See you soon. Um, you have. Oh, there's a chipmunk. I love these chipmunks. So what I was saying is, uh, you have the power. You have the power. Okay. You wake up to this realization, and then you say, from here on until the rest of my life, I'm gonna stay awake. And when the moment of death arrives, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm just gonna chill. See, Tibetan Buddhism, the Tibetan monks in Buddha in the Tibetan monks living in Tibet, because they're Tibetans, right? Hoof. Um, they actually look at meditation as preparation for death. And they think and they say, and rightfully so, that the optimal thing to do when the moment of death arrives is to do nothing, is to listen to nothing and do nothing and be nothingness. Because in that moment you have that's when you cannot be tricked. You fully aware, you're fully here, and then you make your choices. You can come back here if you want. I'm trying to get answers. Have I been tricked here, or did I come here fully out of my own accord? Because I have a strong urge to help, right? Like, I have a really, really strong urge to help this world, but I feel like that could be, in a way, used against me through trickery, sort of to bring me back here. So then that's that, because that Buddha talks about that. It's part of the attachments. It's really all of our attachments here. And I look at myself, and I don't see myself particularly attached to food or sex or things like that. I think, like, I have this attachment to helping. I love this planet. I think it's beautiful, man. Like, what sparked me to sit here and talk to myself, like, out loud before making this video like a crazy person, is like, I was just sitting here admiring this, right? Like, this is my backyard, and then there's trails there, and I was just looking. I'm like, what a beautiful place this is. And then I'm like, man, like, I really want to I want to help create a better earth, right? Like, I was thinking about my loved ones and how much they suffer, and I'm like, like, and then I was thinking about The Matrix, the movie, how Morpheus and his crew are trying to help people that are waking up, like Neo. And I was thinking, is this an obligation? Like, and I was thinking about Jesus. Jesus came back here fully on his own accord to help. So I was like, maybe I did make the choice to come here and go through the struggles and suffering, because you come here, you're gonna suffer. Jesus came here and got freaking crucified, right? He knew that fully, by the way. He was fully conscious. He knew that. He chose to come here and suffer to wake people up. And I was thinking, right, And then I was like, okay, maybe I want to come back here and help. Maybe that's an attachment that keeps me coming back here. But it doesn't matter, because as long as I am awake and I stay awake from here until the moment of my death, and I die consciously like the yogis do, the Mahasamadhi thing, when they leave their bodies consciously, then in that moment, nobody's tricking me. I make my own decisions. If I want to come back here and help, so be it. But it's not coming out of a place of trickery and attachment. It's coming out of a place of, all right, I get it. I see the stakes. But you make the choices. So maybe next time, you choose. You choose. You could choose a pleasant experience for yourself. See, this is the thing. Nobody's been forced to come here. Most of us have been tricked to come here. Nobody. They always need your consent. They make it very difficult for you, by the way. Like with the whole, what do they call it? The C word, the right, with the C word, 2020, that whole facade, right? They made people's lives very difficult, those who didn't want to take the what. But you, as the human being, had to go and consent to it, and you had to get your ass out of bed and out of your house and go to the clinic and get that thing. Now, it is under pretty damning conditions, like some people would have lost their jobs. However, if you know the laws in places like United States, Europe, Canada, but I think in other places too, like even places that aren't as developed, there are loopholes around this. You could say for religious reasons I can't take that, but see, most people don't know that. So they make it so difficult, just like with the cookie shit, right? Like you have to go, like, man, it's so annoying. You know, they don't tell you to reject, most websites anyways don't tell you to reject immediately. You have to go press a button, say learn more or manage my options, and then you have to go and unselect all the cookies one by one and then hit reject, and that way you're not tracked. They make it the same way. So even people who took that thing, right, in 2020, they made it so difficult for them that their job will fire them if they don't take it. However, what most of these people didn't know is that if they're giving their consent, because they could have looked through loopholes. Because why do you think there's so many loopholes in this world? Because the constructors of the Matrix know they have to play by certain cosmic rules, and part of the cosmic rule is you must get the consent of other people for you to do whatever you want with them. They have to consent to it. They have to agree to it. And they have to play by these rules, these archons, these fallen angels. They have to. They just have to. They can't, they just, otherwise the big G God will kick their ass or something. You know? The Father, that's the Father that Jesus talked about, right? But they're allowed to play this game under these rules. You have to get the consent. Now, they make it so difficult. However, they also have all these loopholes in the system for us to opt out, because that's the way they have to play the game. So even if, let's say, you were forced to take this for your job, there are a lot of loopholes. See, it's difficult. They make it difficult. But I know you could say for a certain religion, for religious affiliation, I cannot take this, right? It's not part of my religion, or there's so many loopholes around this. Okay, so us as people who wake up, the neos of this world, we have to realize that, and we have to realize that. And it's very empowering to realize, no, nobody's forcing me to do anything. Even you coming here and having to go through suffering, all the suffering, yes, you agree to it. You just maybe have been tricked by it. It's okay. You wake up to that now. You stay awake. You meditate. You prepare for death. And then when the moment comes, you're there. You're silent. You're in the nothingness. You don't allow voices to persuade you one way or another. And then from that place, you could go and spend an eternity somewhere else. You don't have to come back here. Maybe you want to come back here and continue helping. Maybe you understand you're going to have to go through suffering over and over. Maybe that's an attachment. Buddha would say that's an attachment. You even wanting to constantly help is going to constantly bring you back here. I think I'm stuck in that loop right now, right? But I love the place so much. I love this earth so much that it's probably what's keeping me coming back here, to tell you the truth. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. That's probably an attachment of mine that I have to make dues with and eventually let go of. Otherwise, I'll keep coming back, right? But the good news is, have you heard the good news? The good news is, we're not stuck here. They always need our consent. Even with things like people thought they're forced to take this. They're not. They just made their life so freaking difficult if they don't. Okay? And look, those of us who haven't taken it, we're fine now. We're traveling. I travel. I don't need no freaking nothing. I've traveled the world in those conditions. I was traveling the world, right? So they realize that. That's why they give that fear to you. Like, if you don't take it, you can't be a normal person functioning in society anymore. But that's not the truth. The truth is they always need our consent. Always, always. This is a free will based reality. And that's why they put all this propaganda in the news. It's called predictive programming, because they know they need our consent, man. That, you know how empowering that is to you as the person that think you're stuck in life? It is so powerful, because then now you can make your own decisions and your own choices and alter the current reality and make a new existence for yourself. And that applies to any part of your life. I I 6 months ago I sustained multiple spinal fractures. I could not freaking walk. I couldn't okay, let me put it this way. The biggest battle in my life 6 months ago was to get out of bed and go to the bathroom. That was the biggest battle. I was a bit stricken for most of the last 6 months. But I'm using my mind and I'm accelerating the healing like crazy. I'm like, nah, I'm beast mode again. I'm Goku again, you know? And so I'm healing a lot quicker. And it's like you could change things in your life. You know, you just have to freaking emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind, right? And so that's what they don't want us to know, is that it's called truth hidden in plain sight, guys, right? Nobody's forced to do nothing. That's very empowering. We think we are, but we're not. They just make life so freaking difficult for us. But if we are so committed to our freedom, some Braveheart shit, right? If we're committed to our freedom, nothing can stop you, because it's written in the cosmic rules of the game, and they have to play by these rules. That's why they keep these loopholes in the system for us to opt out. You know, that's why they need our consent for everything, right? I mean, truthfully, no one's been forced to do this. That's the truth. These people thought they were. They didn't have they didn't have um, the ability to see beyond that, and see who they really are, and see the game for what it is. Um, so yeah, in many ways, life is a preparation for death, but it is. I'm here in the moment. I'm gonna help this world, even if it's an attachment of mine that keeps me coming back. I'm here to do it. I'm gonna do it. I've been blessed with a good life. And maybe I chose that deliberately. Maybe I wasn't tricked here. Maybe I deliberately chose to have a good life, peaceful life, good financial standings, good everything, so I can help. Maybe I'm coming here fully conscious. Maybe I'm not tricked. Doesn't matter. No, because what matters is I stay awake from here until the moment of death, and I fulfill my dharma, as the Hindus would say, your dharma, your role. And then at the moment of death, if I have done my preparations, if I am at one with the nothingness that the Tibetan monks prepare for all their lives, then I will make the choice then that is most appropriate, coming straight from my soul when I die. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video.